All right, let's shift to college. See, I think this is a pretty good slate of college games. I do. I think this is a really good slate. First game up, Michigan-Penn State. Now, two things with this game. Number one, it's win or go home for Michigan. Let's be honest. They're sitting there in like sixth place in the college football playoff. Sixth place. Think about this, ahead of Michigan State, and that's got everybody crabby. But I see what they're doing there. What difference does it make? Sixth or seventh or sixth, it's all going to play out. But Michigan going to Happy Valley, it's win or go home. Michigan loses this one, they're out of the college football playoff. They're out, have no chance to get into the Big Ten championship game, which is going to be here in Indianapolis. And Penn State, even though they're sitting there 6-3, I mean, if James Franklin is really going to be a contender for all these big-time jobs, whether it's USC, Florida, if it comes, whatever, you better start winning some football games. You better start winning some meaningful football games. Penn State's got the defense to do it. They really do. The Clifford kid at quarterback's pretty good. I think he's a tough kid. The defense is going to have to carry the day. And I got to tell you, this is basically a pick 'em game, -1. I got to tell you, I'm not betting this game because I don't know which way to go. I honestly don't know which way to go. I loved Penn State's defense when I saw them. Actually, every time I've seen them, I think they've been very good. All right, Oklahoma's 9-0. Baylor had a bad loss last week. Oklahoma controls its own destiny. You're not going to keep an undefeated Oklahoma team out. They got to go to Waco. This is not going to be easy. There's going to be a hell of a crowd. There's going to be a little bit of anger from Baylor. There's going to be all kind of different things going on. I just see this as a tough game. I think this is a really, really, really tough game for Oklahoma. But I'll also say if they get it done and they win the football game, they're going to move way up in the college football standing. This is a road win. College football has become a lot like college basketball. But I say this all the time. For everybody except Cincinnati, it's going to play itself out. Cincinnati really can't play itself out. I'm going to give the 5.5. I'm going to take Oklahoma, whether it's Williams or whether it's Rattler at the quarterback. I don't know. What do they say? Colts used to have a really bad coach here named Chuck Pagano. And Chuck Pagano's saying was iron sharpens iron. Yeah, okay. So I guess if you're, Caleb Williams and the kid Rattler, if iron sharpens iron, there's pretty good competition going on. Maybe both are better. Maybe Oklahoma really jumps up, but they're sitting here 9-0. Here's the deal. Fans look at things and they go, well, they're 9-0. Well, they're 9-0. I got an ongoing debate about me being loyal to my friends on the YouTube channel. I am absolutely not loyal to Bob Knight. No. Why? Bob Knight wasn't loyal to me. I was loyal to him 16 years. That's enough. Cincinnati in the Jason Benetti game. It's Friday night at South Florida. It's a 23-point spread. Cincinnati needs to be up 23 at halftime. South Florida's 2-7. Cincinnati, a lot of whining, bitching, moaning. I get it. As I said yesterday, people always throw slogans back at you. Every game counts is the college football slogan on ESPN. Every game counts. All right. So people throw that back. Well, Cincinnati should be number 1 in the country if every game counts, or number 2 behind Georgia. Every game doesn't count. It's a great slogan. It's a TV slogan. Doesn't mean it's real life. Of course, every game doesn't count. If I'm playing an SEC schedule and Cincinnati's over here playing Tulane and Tulsa and playing them close to Naval Academy, every game's different. But what they're saying is every game counts so that you watch it. Cincinnati needs to win big. I think they will. I don't think Cincinnati's great, but I do think Cincinnati, I don't think Cincinnati is, what's the right word? Great enough. Great enough. So, Georgia, Tennessee, do not sleep on my Vols. You're going to sleep on my Vols, aren't you? I saw in person Tennessee at Alabama. That was a one-score game in the fourth quarter, and then it opened up with some mistakes. Now, again, you hear me say it all the time. Victory favors a team making the fewest mistakes. All right? Well, guess what? You can't make mistakes against Alabama, and you cannot make mistakes against Georgia. You just simply cannot. And if you're going to get your ass beat. Well, Tennessee, if they learn from those mistakes, I'll take the 20 in Tennessee. Tennessee coming off a big win against Kentucky. And here's the deal with that. I always say pick against the team that is awful coming off a big win. I don't think Tennessee's awful. I'm going to get that to 21. I'm going to take it at 21. I don't think Tennessee's awful at all. Probably the most interesting game of the weekend. I am not going to totally, completely believe in Purdue. All right? I'm not going to do it. Purdue's 6-3. They're ranked. It's all good. They have big wins. Oh, man, at Iowa. Michigan State. These are monster wins. These are top 5 wins. Second in the country, Iowa. David Bell is the best wide receiver in the country. If you don't know who David Bell is, I cannot help you. David Bell is, he's like Jerry Rice. He's the only guy, I'm going to go this route. He's the only guy that I've seen that compares to Jerry Rice. Here's why. All these other wide receivers that came out of college came out as pains in the ass. What Michael Crabtree ever do? Des Bryant. All these guys are pains in the ass. Jerry Rice just showed up undervalued and went ahead and won. That's what he did. He won. He set records. He worked harder than everybody. He caught the ball. He did all these things, and he became a Hall of Famer, and he became arguably the greatest wide receiver ever. David Bell has a lot of that in him, the wide receiver from Purdue. David Bell is understated. David Bell somehow, some way gets open. David Bell catches everything. And Aiden O'Connell's starting to sling it, over 500 yards passing against a Mel Tucker defense. By the way, is Mel Tucker doing what people do and live on the residuals of the discipline of the previous coach? I don't know. It's a 21-point spread. I'm going to take the Boilers in 21. There was this period of time in the middle of the season where Ohio State beat the living hell out of teams, whether it was Maryland or Indiana. They just whomped them. I feel like that slowed down a little bit. See, I feel like C.J. Stroud has slowed that down just a little bit. I'm not saying it's over. I'm not saying they can't. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that you get on different runs during the season. This is why Benetti always said I should call this the what's really going on. You get on different runs. Like Cincinnati, early in the season, Indiana was considered good. Cincinnati got in there, went toe-to-toe. Indiana made some mistakes. Cincinnati got it done. Then they had to go to Notre Dame. Man, they went toe-to-toe. The big buildup. Can you imagine in that program the buildup for those two games early in the season, particularly when it came out? And it came out that Indiana was 17th. And now all of a sudden, I'm not saying there's a letdown, but there is a letdown. You feel it when you're inside of a program. Now it's Tulsa. Now we got to travel here. Now we go to South Florida. You got to get it back. And usually really good teams get it back. So I do think Cincinnati is going to play much better and get up big at half. I would take whatever the points are first half Cincinnati. But back to the Purdue-Ohio State thing. Ohio State had a come-to-Jesus meeting after they beat Oregon. They had one of those like, we're going to shift around Kerry Coombs, the longtime or back and forth defensive coordinator. All right, we lost to Oregon. We got to start beating people big, and they beat the hell out of them. Then all of a sudden, teams started playing better. Games become, kind of dogfights. You win, which is the most important thing when you're Ohio State. You win by enough, which is the second most important thing when you're Ohio State. But you're not crushing people. Now, let me take you to Purdue. Purdue, there's a time, and it was pretty recent, where Jeff Brom, the head coach, better get a win. I don't think anybody expected him to go to Iowa City based on Iowa City being second in the country. But Jeff Brom, he did not have the faithful behind him. That Iowa game got the faithful behind him. They came back, lost to Minnesota. Needed wins. Got one. Massive one. Now it seems like Purdue's the most stable it's been in the Jeff Brom era. Purdue, up and down. Tyler Trent game. Last game Ohio State lost in the Big Ten was a Tyler Trent game, like in 17 or whenever it was. Lots going on since then. But the truth of the matter is, this might be the most stable footing Purdue's been on. As I said, McConnell slinging it. David Bell catching it. Horvath is back. Their running game non-existent, but just enough last time out against Michigan State. I'm going to take the 21 points. I'm going to take the 21 points and Purdue. I don't think Purdue has a real shot to win the game. I don't think Purdue does. But it ain't going to surprise me if this doesn't come down to one or two possessions, one possession at the end of the game. It really won't. Let me recap for you. Michigan is just simple, win or go home. And man, if you're Jim Harbaugh, you're 9-1, 8-1. You got all these wins. You've actually won a lot of football games at Michigan, but does anybody care? Oh, hell no. Oklahoma, you control your own destiny. Beat Baylor, beat Oklahoma State, win the Big 12 championship game, you're in the college football playoff. Isn't it amazing, though? You got to go undefeated now. It's crazy. Cincinnati, you don't necessarily control your own destiny. You got to win, and you got to win big. You don't have games in there that can prop you up. Don't sleep on Tennessee, people. Don't do it, baby. No, 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 no. But I do think Georgia wins the game. Probably cover, maybe a backdoor deal. I wouldn't take 20. I'd take 21. And in Purdue, I spoke to you about. Purdue, to me, interesting. If they get blown out, I will not only be disappointed because, frankly, I like Purdue, but I'll be a little bit shocked. I will. I'll be a little bit shocked.